The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport podcast, where we have a bit of a bumper episode lined up for you today with 4 special guests featuring in today's show. We're joined by Kate O'Connell, Jessica Beechinor and Lisa Harte of the Rossa ladies football team, who are now looking forward to an All-Ireland junior football final following a brilliant win in Skib on Saturday. And we'll also be joined by Denis Hurley to chat about his latest book, Cork Football, Game of My Life. I'm your host, Dylan Mangan, and I'm joined today by Star Sport editor Ciaran McCarthy, a very cold-looking Star Sport editor there. It's freezing today. We both need to warm up by talking about some West Cork sport. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now, Ciaran, we have lots to look forward to on today's podcast, but I want to take a moment first to look ahead to Castlehaven's Munster Senior Football Final this weekend. They're taking on Kerry club champions Dingle, and I suppose it goes without saying it's a huge occasion for the Haven.
Massive! What a huge game! Castlehaven are bidding to win the Munster Senior Club Football Championship title for the 4th time and for the first time since 1997. So taking on Kerry Kingpins Dingle in the Gaelic grounds this Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. throw-in, and the game is also live and TG Cahir. So anyone who can't make it up to Limerick can watch the game on TV. And if they're like me today, cold and wrapped up in a big jacket, maybe the comfort of home on Sunday might be the way to go for some of those fans. But no, it's a huge game for Castlehaven, and it's a really intriguing game in many ways, because when you're looking at Castlehaven, this is a team that was last in Munster back in 2013. They lost the 2012 Munster final to Dr. Crokes, and there's a couple of survivors from that team. It's Captain Mark Collins, Brian Hurley and Damien Cahalan. So this Castlehaven team has some experience in the Munster Club final, whereas for Dingle, on the other side, it's their first time in the Provincial Senior Club Series. They went against Clonmel Commercials there in the semi-final. Was the first ever Munster Senior Club game. So this is all very new to them, but Dingle are a very experienced team as well. And why it's intriguing, it's like there is a connection between the two teams. They're both fishing communities. They're both kind of harbour towns. One is in West Cork, one is in West Kerry, even though they've never met on the football field. And I was asking James McCarthy, the Haven manager, about this, let's say even in terms of challenge games, did he ever come across Dingle? And he said no. He goes, the closest Haven got were playing on Gaeltacht, were another West Kerry club many years ago, but never played Dingle. So there's a novelty to it, because it's very much a new pairing. There's a familiarity to it, because it's a Kerry and Cork pairing in a Munster final. But it's a game to look forward to, because there's so many different factors that almost leave you thinking, okay, which way is this game going to go? Both teams have the experience, like some of the players I mentioned there, the Brian Hurleys, the Damien Cahalans, the Mark Collins, but then you've Michael Hurley in super form for Haven in the last couple of games. And you've all the young guns coming through for Haven. And you look at Dingle, littered with Gainies, a couple of All-Ireland winners in there, and Paul Gainey and Tom O'Sullivan as well. So it's all set up for a fascinating game on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Dingle would be dangerous as well. Like, I was reading an interview with Paul Gainey, you mentioned there, who said that normally around this time of the year he's not involved with his club anymore, because Dingle don't get this far, and when he's on the Kerry side of it, he usually sees it as an opportunity to lay down a marker in the inter-county team before the other lads get back and try and keep his jersey for the year. But he was saying now he's in this final he wants to keep playing into the new year with Dingle, and he'll be doing everything he can to make sure that happens. And same goes, I presume, for Haven players like Brian Hurley, who are involved in the Cork setup as well. They won't want to be going back to Cork too early, will they?
No, exactly that, Dylan. And they'll want this adventure to go on, because obviously the winner of the Munster series goes into the All-Ireland semi-final. But apart from that, looking at it on Sunday on its own, it's a chance for these club players, both Haven and Dingle, to win a Munster title with their club. And no player on the pitch on Sunday has achieved that. And we're talking about Castlehaven for a second. Like I was saying earlier, they've won 3 Munster club titles before, and you have to go back to 97 when they beat Fedard from Tipperary. Larry Tompkins scored 8 points that day. So you have Haven footballers with Munster medals. And for the current group, they'd love to get their hands on a Munster medal, because that would elevate them even more in the annals of Haven club history. Because when you think about it, it's taken Haven 10 years. There's 10 years between Haven's last county title in 2013 and this county title. So they've had to wait 10 years to dip their toes back into the provincial series. So who knows, given how competitive the Cork Championship is, Castlehaven will be back here again. And I'm thinking of some of the, let's call them the elder statesmen of this Castlehaven team. Mark Collins is 33 now. I think Brian Hurley is going to turn 32 in April. Damon Callahan will be turning 32 in next year as well. They're all top-class players still right now, and they're all really important players for Castlehaven. But they'll realise, they're at the stage of their career where they'll realise you have to make the most of these opportunities. You really do. And James McCarthy in this week's Southern Star makes the point, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance for these players. And it possibly could be, because who knows what the future holds? Who knows when Haven will win another county senior title again and get back into a Munster final. So it's a huge occasion for both teams. And I can see totally from a Castlehaven point of view, where they feel now is the time for them to go win a Munster title. And you have to have been impressed with what we've seen from Haven this year, from that first game against Ross and Clan, where they held on to dig out an 11 points apiece draw, all the way through the county championship. They're improving with every game. And then, went into Munster, that quarterfinal against Cratloe was a bit of an arm wrestle, kind of a dog-a-door affair, but they got over that. And then against Rathcormac from Waterford in the semi-final, it was a more open game, and Haven kind of were in their element there. So what I'm trying to say too is that Haven have been able to adapt to whatever they've been faced with, both in the county championship and in the Munster series. So whether it was against Nemo in the county final and Cratloe, kind of more bodies behind the ball, against the Bars in the semi-final in Cork, and against Rathcormac in the Munster semi-final, more open, free-flowing football, and they can do that too. So there's an adaptability to the Haven team that could serve them well on Sunday against a Dingle side that like to play football as well. And maybe that could play into Castlehaven's arms too, that Dingle do like to kick the ball, they do like to pass the ball, they have a lot of good footballers in there. So we could have a good game of football. But then again, I saw the weather forecast for Sunday, and it looks wet and wild with the weather that's incoming. So that could have a big bearing on the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a well balanced matchup, I'd say. And Castlehaven, Kieran, are to add to their previous Munster successes. They're in 89, 94 and 97, so a good while ago at this stage. James McCarthy in this week's Southern Stars, he recently spoke to the Stars saying that they're going to have to go to another level in terms of performance, commitment, attitude, but they'll probably need a little bit of luck as well, won't they? Exactly.
When it comes to a big day like this with two evenly matched teams, and it's hard to pick one over the other, like luck will have a part to play in the day. Could come down to something as small like the bounce of a ball. James McCarthy is making a point in Thursday Star. He goes that Haven can't afford to have any weak links, and he defines a weak link as the concession of a soft goal or a silly goal. Like they really have to bring their best performance of the season, because even though I was saying earlier, this is all new to Dingle, they still have so many experienced players in their ranks. Like Paul Ganey and Thomas Sullivan have both won All-Ireland senior football titles with Kerry. Mikey Ganey was in with Kerry before. They've Dylan Ganey and Conor Ganey, two other young players who played at all different underage levels with Kerry. And I think they would have played in the league for Kerry before, going back a couple of years as well. So even though this is a new stage for these Dingle players, they're experienced Dingle players too, because even at underage level, a lot of those fellas would be Pobble Skull, Corkadrina in the local secondary school in Dingle, and they won Hogan Cups, the All Ireland Colleges Senior A schools title with their club. So they're young fellas, they're a team that won't be phased by the big occasion. But you can say the same for Castlehaven, a team littered with experience and big game players. So it really is set up for a good game of football. I would lean towards Castlehaven here. Obviously, I haven't seen more of them in action. Just seeing what they're about, just seeing that former Michael Hurley in the last couple of games, man of the match in the semi-final, the county final, 5 points against Rathgormack the last day. Like, to see him enjoy one of his best seasons, if not his best season yet, in a Castlehaven jersey. What that does, it just takes some of the scoring pressure off Brian Hurley, and it's another threat for Dingle to be wary of. So there's Castlehaven have a scoring threat. They have quality throughout the field. So if I had to tip anyone, I'd give a narrow edge to Castlehaven. But you always have to beware of those cute Kerry whores, Dylan.
Well, if anyone else wants to let us know their predictions for the game, you can email us at digital@southernstar.ie. Get them in before the weekend. If you email us after the weekend telling us what you think the score will be, we'll know you are cheating there. So let us know what you think it'll be. We might read out a couple of responses next week, see if anyone got the score correct there. I'm also going to lean Castlehaven by, I'd say, about 2 points. It'll be a tight one. But moving on now, Kieran. O'Donovan Rossa, the Skibbereen ladies, are heading for Parnell Park and an All-Ireland LGFA Junior Club Championship final appearance following a brilliant win over Gusserane at Rossa Park on Saturday. They won by 2-12 to 6 points. And Kieran, a great crowd turned out for or to witness a remarkable achievement by a remarkable team.
Exactly that. Remarkable achievement, remarkable team, remarkable season for O'Donovan Rossa. And I'm going to go back again to 12 months ago, or over 12 months ago, when this Skib team lost the county junior A final to Neva Bawn, and they were heartbroken after that. But they'll admit themselves it was a game that they didn't deserve to win. Yet here we are, more than 12 months on, and they are now Cork champions, they're Munster champions, and they're one win away from being All-Ireland champions. So it tells you a lot about the resilience of this group, that they bounced back from the heartbreak of 2022, and they've just simply dominated this season. They've had the most incredible year. They've won every championship game they played, from the county championship through to Munster and now in the All-Ireland series. And it sets them up for a final in Parnell Park on December 17th at 2 o'clock against Clare Morris. I did get onto the LGFA this week, Dylan, just to query the fact that we have a Connacht team and a Munster team. That would there be any possibility of bringing the game to a more neutral venue closer to home for both, instead of bringing both teams up into Dublin in the second last weekend before Christmas? But there's going to be no budging on that. Parnell Park, I was told, has been booked for a while, and that's where the game is going to be played. And I suppose why I did get in touch with the LGFA, it's because it's a standalone fixture on the Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. throw-in, whereas the day before in Cork Park, as far as I know, it's the senior and intermediate finals. So if the junior final was part of a triple header at Cork Park, I could totally understand that. But to bring the two teams up to Parnell Park, no disrespect to that stadium, it's something that kind of stuck in my mind, saying, could we just make this game a bit more accessible for fans of both teams? When you're talking about it's so close to Christmas on a Sunday, 2 o'clock. But as it stands, it's going to be in Parnell Park. But I'm sure the Rossa team would play anywhere. They would play this game anywhere, because it's an All-Ireland final. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something incredibly special. And they're on the cusp of glory. And there's a lovely kind of almost synchronicity to what the O'Donovan Rossa men's team did back in 1993, 30 years ago to the year when O'Donovan Rossa men's team won the only ever All-Ireland Senior Club title to come to West Cork. We now have the O'Donovan Rossa ladies football team in an All-Ireland final as well. So what a magical end to the year it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of going back through the year as well, if you look at the games, like, they have brushed other teams aside as well. It's not like we spoke there about Castlehaven kind of like in their quarterfinal against Cratloe, kind of an arm wrestle where they got through. But it seems like this O'Donovan Rossa team so far have played everyone they've played, they've handled with ease. Like they were helped, I suppose, by the fact the game was at home. The semi-final was at home at the weekend, and a great crowd showed up despite the weather as well, which was brilliant for them. But still, to turn out like 2-12 to 6 points is some achievement in and of itself as well.
It is, and what I like about this team is that they, I know we spoke before in the podcast, their mantra, they take it one game at a time, that they're not looking beyond the next game ahead of them. And I know that might sound like a cliche when people hear that, but that really is what this Skib team is doing. They're just focusing on the game ahead. They're not getting carried away or looking 2 games down the line. And it's definitely working for them. But like what you mentioned there about, and I suppose blowing the opposition away. Look at the county final where they beat Donny's by double scores in a county final. That told us a lot about this team. But what I like about them is their ability to win despite whatever way a game will turn out. What I mean is against Clonmac and Van of Kerry in the Munster final, that was tighter than some of their other games in the county championship. They did a disallowed goal in the second half that should have been a goal, and there was only 2 points between the teams at the time, and it was a tight game. But Skib found a way to win. Going into the All-Ireland quarter-final, that was a potential pitfall. It was definitely banana skin. They were going away to Glasgow Gales, and we spoke before in the podcast about the whole novelty of that. Getting on Ryanair for a flight to a football game that is a 11:30 throw-in on a Saturday morning, and you're getting a flight back after you're staying overnight, and I think it was outside Glasgow the night before. So there's a lot of potential distractions there. But Skib, again, they got the job done, and they held Glasgow Gales to just 2 scores, 1 score in each half. Then fast forward just a week later, such a small turnaround, and you have an All-Ireland semi-final at home in Skib. And okay, that's definitely an advantage because you don't have to travel. You can sleep in your own bed the night before, not having to go up the country. But there's also a danger attached to that too, because the pressure on that team last week, because they're playing this home semi-final. We've seen here in Skibbereen, there's red and white flags everywhere. People were chatting about the game. There was a huge crowd at the game on Saturday too. So there was that pressure and expectation on the Skibbereen team. And you're thinking, okay, could this be a distraction? Could this be something that just kind of sees a dip 1 or 2% below where they need to be? But again, they did what they had to do to win the game, and they were so impressive. So that's what's impressed me. Whatever the test or the challenge is, they found a way to win. And they've always come up with the right answers, and they have to do it one more time. Parnell Park, December 17th against Claremorris, and it's about getting the job done.
Yeah, I was going to bring that mantra up that we've heard throughout the year, the taking it one game at a time. Well, there is only one more game to take, and you were speaking to Kate O'Connell, Jessica Beechinor, and Captain Lisa Harte for the podcast, and I suppose they had it sunk in for them at this point. I know after the game it's kind of hard for it to sink in, but a couple of days later, had they kind of realised what they've achieved so far?
I think so. Like I suppose they've realised what they've achieved in the sense that they've qualified for a final, but they all realise too that they probably won't fully appreciate the magnitude of what they've achieved this season until probably later in life, if we're being quite honest, because they're in the middle of the bubble right now. So right now it's okay. After winning an All-Ireland semi-final with training wins a night, it's all about preparations for the final. So they almost can't allow themselves just to step outside that incredible bubble for a second and look at what they've achieved, which is this unbeaten championship season, beating every team, winning a Cork title, winning a Munster title, now in an All-Ireland final. So they're just they're like a juggernaut at the moment. They're like a machine. It's game to game to game. And the next game is against Claremorris on Sunday week. So that's what their focus will be on. Touch wood, that game will go well. Maybe over the Christmas then, if they can take time out of what we hope will be celebrations all around Skibbereen, even going 2 around West Cork, that they could start to let the magnitude of what they achieved this season sink in. But in reality, it'll be a lot later on in life, I think. And why I say that, it's the chatting to a few of the men that are involved in the O'Donovan Rossa All-Ireland success back in 1993. We did a big 8-page special for the Star earlier in the year, and I was chatting to some of them for that, and they were just talking about the links and the bonds that they created back in that team and how they still have that connection today. And it's like that success that run in 93 is what joins this kind of band of brothers together, and they'll always have that very special link. And it'll be the exact same for these Skibbereen women, but they won't realise it till much later in life, when life takes them off in different journeys. But then all of a sudden they'll be drawn back into conversation about, do you remember the year that we won? You know, do you remember that year when we did this? So I think it probably won't hit them now or next year or the year after, but it will at some point, and it'll be an even better conversation, Dylan, if they can bring home the big one on Sunday week. It's been an incredible run these last couple of weeks, Kate, but I want to go straight back to last Saturday, that home semi-final against Gusserane in Skib. What an incredible occasion. Talk to me about the day itself first. Like, what was it like to play in front of such a big home crowd in Skib?
Yeah, look, it was an incredible occasion for the club and for the team. But I think look, there was massive momentum in the build up to it. But I think most importantly, the team didn't really let that added pressure get to us. And I think, look, we had a job to do, and we kept those, you know, the things that we could control inside the wire. We kept focus on what we had to do, despite kind of all the distraction outside of it, which was obviously fantastic. But I think there was a bit of concern that maybe that, you know, added pressure might cause girls to drop their focus. But I think, in fairness to the whole team, we really worked on just remaining, as I say, focused on the job that had to be done, and kind of not let it get into our heads that despite all the support, but that at the end of the day, we could not control, you know, anything to do with the crowd or the home game. That it was the focus remained on the game in front of us.
Jessica, you're working inside in Skib Town, so that week between the trip to Glasgow and the home game last Saturday, what was that like for you? Because we were just saying here before we started recording, there's red and white flags all around Skibbereen. Everyone was talking about the game. So how did you keep focused on the game and almost not get caught up in everything else around the match?
I just think there was such good buzz and such good lead up. Like, everyone was so excited for us going to Glasgow, and like everyone was just wishing us good praises. And like, obviously there was you were kind of nervous, but like members coming in and just wishing you best of luck was making me more excited, and like being like, if we are doing it for anyone, it's for the community, and like do it for everyone that's wishing us good luck and all the best wishes. Like, it made it even more enjoyable knowing that like everyone at home was like watching it. And like the maintenance man in the credit union was telling me that he ran across to the Tanyard to try catch a glimpse of it because they were trying to get on in the banking hall, and he was like, you couldn't get a foot inside there. He said the amount of people backing you and supporting you is unbelievable. You've no idea. He was like, if like a photo didn't do it justice, he said, like, there was people outside the Tanyard looking in the window. He was like, that just alone, it should just let us know how many people are backing us. And like Skib Town, as you said, with the flags and everything, like everyone is behind us. And I think that drives us on, and like it leads to the excitement as well and the big build up to an All-Ireland final now.
And Lisa, before we talk about the football itself, let's just touch on that for a second. The support you've got from Skibbereen, the whole community, the club, like everyone got on board to put that game together on Saturday. But even this journey from the start, the first game of the county championship to now, you've had incredible support.
Oh my God, it's been incredible. Yeah, all the businesses in town, just the way they've gotten behind us, and even our management. Like, we had 2 away games in our Munster campaign, up in Tipperary and up in Clare, and we didn't have to think about anything. They had everything organised for us down to the last minute, our schedules and everything. And even going over to Glasgow, like our management and the members of the committee for O'Donovan Rossa, people that have got involved and gotten behind us, and like the support just has been absolutely incredible. And I think that's really what has made it all possible for us, is the support and people coming together to organise things for us, and sponsorship, and the town. Every window in Skibbereen has red and white painted along it, and it's just been absolutely incredible.
And the fact, Kate, that everything's been taken care of, like, let's say in terms of the preparation, the management are doing such a good job, it just allows you to focus on the task at hand, which is the game in front of you. And that's really been your mantra through this campaign. Like, you just focus on the game ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think, as you say, management, that's been the get-go since since the outset, really, like people say at the start of the season, oh, like, did you ever think you'd get that far? Like, honestly, it wasn't that we doubted it, but that was never our goal initially. You know, when it was the first 4 round games of the championship, it was just one game at a time. You know, it wasn't even the semi-final of the championship. It was just each championship game, and once we got over them, it was the county final, and it really has. I think it doesn't let us allow ourselves to get ahead of ourselves, but it just keeps kind of, when you remain focused on a single game, it allows everyone to kind of rally around the same cause and just make sure that no one gets too distracted or too ahead of themselves.
Jessica, what's it like to be part of this group right now? Because it's just been an incredible ride these last couple of months. You think back to the county final against Donny's, then straight into Munster. Like we're saying, there was 2 away games. Then it was up to Mallow to play Clonmac and my van. Beat them. You're getting on a flight to go across to Glasgow to play Glasgow Gales. Come off that flight, you're getting ready for a home All-Ireland semi-final. It's just been incredible. So what's it been like to been, I suppose, inside the bubble while this is going on?
It's been phenomenal. Like, it's been unreal. Like, the whole experience from the get-go. Like, training back in February, no one thought we would have gotten, like, no one was like getting ahead of ourselves. No one was like, no one thought we'd be playing football in December, like, or traveling to Glasgow to play a game. And I think all the away games as well brought us closer together. Everyone just, like, there's such good crack going up in the bus, but once we hit the, like, half or nearly there, like half an hour away from the pitch, everyone's focused, getting in on the game, getting sorted. But like, it's just been so, like, such a journey. And a lot of people say, like, it's not now, like, you don't really realize it right now, but you look back on this experience in 30 odd years and you'll be saying, what an unreal experience it was. Like, and it's just unreal. And I think it hasn't even sunk in yet, like the severity, like how great this is, like, and how good it is for the club. And it's great to just do it along with such good friends of yours, and like, we're going to be friends forever, like, and there's always going to be this bond between this group of girls, and it's great. It's really unbelievable.
That's actually a great point, Jessica. And I want to take that up with you, Lisa. And you actually mentioned 30 years, Jessica. It's 30 years this year since O'Donovan Rossa men's won the Senior All-Ireland back in '93, and they had a reunion there a couple of weeks back. And that group of men still talk about the bond, like that adventure they had back in '92, '93 is what connects these men all these years later. And Eve had the most incredible adventure so far. And have you seen, Lisa, that your bond has strengthened and deepened over the last couple of months? Like, you've really become a band of sisters, like even a tighter family unit than you were before.
Oh, 100%. The morale in the team at the moment is just stronger than it has ever been. And I think it really shows on the pitch. Everyone wants to work so hard for one another, and we all just really wanted for each other. And that's a credit to our management as well. They've put in so much work to get that morale up so high, and to, you know, be positive, that there's no like negative thoughts like around each game, and focusing on each game as they come. And you know, when the lads had their 30-year reunion, that was around the time of the Munster Championship campaign, and people were saying, imagine what if, and now we're here, we're in an All-Ireland final, and it's just stuff of dreams, you know. It's incredible.
I want to talk about the semi-final so in Skib last Saturday, but first, Kate, you're not in Skib at the moment. Can you tell our listeners where you're based? Because while I'm here wearing a hoodie at night, or a fleece to keep warm, like you're in sunnier climes.
I am indeed. I'm over in Madrid at the minute, studying here. So although weather isn't too much warmer than what you're experiencing, but yeah, so I'm a little bit more removed from the team, but just trying to stay as well in fit and in up to the girls' standards, because I know they're all working hard, and it's just definitely don't want to lose any of that while I'm away. So yeah.
What did the run up to the game look like for you, so Kate? Like, when did you get back into this game?
Yeah, so the game is on Saturday, so I came back into Skib Thursday night, and yeah, went over then for a bit of a kick around on Friday. As it had been a couple of weeks since I've been home since the last game. So yeah, but look, I think my role is just to make sure that I stay in the best shape possible while I'm over here, and that when I come home to the girls, I'm able to keep up with them, because they're as I say, they're training hard. So it's yeah, that's, if anything, it's motivation for me to keep going out here. So yeah.
Let's look at the game. So, Jessica, you got the fast start, the ideal start. Trina Murphy got that goal. Had you targeted that fast start? Because I suppose it's hard to know what the opposition are like coming down. But once Skib got on top, like, you just didn't let go.
Yeah, I think definitely getting a fast start on them, really, it made like Gusserane kind of drop their heads or whatever. But we knew then, like from Trina's goal and from the girls' first 3 points, I knew anyway I could, like, not ease, but I was like, we have this, like, with the momentum going and the crowd behind us and everything on our home pitch, there was no way we were leaving this game go. And we just kept at them. And I think determination, if anything, just drove us, like, to just not give up and just keep going and finish the game off as best as we could and head for Dublin on the 17th.
What's so impressive about this team, Lisa, and it's like, take it back to going to Glasgow, like, there was a lot of distractions in that trip. Kind of the team had to split up into 2 different flights from Cork and Dublin, staying overnight, the whole novelty of going away for a game like that, in an early half-11 throw in Glasgow. You jumped that hurdle, so impressive over there. And then again, if you're looking at the game in Skib, like, it was a potential banana skin, because it was almost a homecoming as such for you, your first game at home since you'd Munster champions, county champions, but you take it all in your stride and you don't get phased. That's a very impressive character trait to have. So could you just sense that as well on Saturday during the game, that just you were just at it?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose I know I've touched on it already, but like, that again is credit to our management, because we don't let things distract us. Like, there's a focus in camp, like, we're there to get a job done, we're there to win, to focus on the next game and win the next game, and for everyone to go out and give their best performance that they can. And I suppose playing a home semi-final in Skib, you know, there is a lot of distractions going on, like, around the town, you know, the lead up to it, but definitely we did not lose the focus. And we had spoke about it in training and the week upcoming to it, like we were saying, that it is great and you have to enjoy the lead up and you have to enjoy these big occasions, but it's just so important not to become complacent. And I think we definitely highlighted that it would have been easy to become complacent, but I think the focus in the panel this year, it really showed on Saturday that we were there to get a job done, whatever was going on around us.
To ask you too, Lisa, about the O'Donovan Rossa defence. Absolutely incredible. Only conceded 2 scores away to Glasgow. Gusserane got, it was at 6 points the last day, but only 2 from play. Okay, the forwards get the points that win the game, but the defensive efforts that Skib are putting in this season, it's been incredible. Like, you're creating this solid, strong platform that's giving you the best chance of winning every game. So what's it like playing in that defence? And what do you think is the difference this year from the defence compared to previous seasons?
Well, I think this year, our defence, we have people playing in our back 6 that have been playing forwards their whole life. So I think our focus as well coming into this game and all our championship games has been to reduce the amount of goals, and that worked for us on Saturday. They only scored 6 points. They didn't score any goals, but from number 15 was defending, and Jessica and Kate, 2 wing forwards, they're tracking back the whole time and defending, and we all play so tight as a unit at the backs, and we've really worked on our communication, and I suppose stopping the goals really has been our main thing, and we've worked on it a lot in training, and it really paid off for us on Saturday. So yeah, being part of the defence definitely is enjoyable, and now that all our training that we've been worked on is paying off, so it's great.
Yeah, like Lisa said there, it's a real team effort that's taking you to the All-Ireland final on December 17th up in Dublin. Can you believe that you're in an All-Ireland final, and how much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, no, look, it's incredible, and we've been involved in the girls' club since the founding of it. So getting this far is just, it's surreal, to be honest. And I think, as Jessica touched on earlier, it's nearly something that hasn't fully sinked in that, not letting our focus slip, that we have nothing, we've no All-Ireland won yet. So I think it's key to just, remain focused, and we are all aware that, look, we don't want to fall at the final hurdle. So I think it's crucial that another 2 weeks of hard work, and hopefully hopefully we'll get over the line. But yeah, it's incredible. And I think as we say, like the bond with this team has, even getting this far, and like it's important not to overlook either. We've won the county and the Munster, and obviously, of course, we'll cherish that. But I just think one more final push now, and I think having this All Ireland would be the icing on the cake for the team, to be honest.
That's a great point, Jessica, that Kate made there. One more final push. What do Skib have to do in the next 10 days to be in the best possible shape for Clare Morris on the 17th?
I suppose just prep ourselves, like hydration, like we saw there at the last, myself included, cramps, they'll catch us if we don't mind ourselves hydrating, and just eating well and getting our sleep right and everything. And just if we have the right focus, if we go out with the mentality that we're going to do exactly what we've been doing all along, and everyone do their role correct and just die for each other, literally, we should be okay. I've no doubt that we should be okay.
And as well as that, Jessica, you have big game experience now. Okay, the 2022 county final, disappointment, but you learned from that. You've now won a county final this year. You've won a Munster final. Like we said, you've won away in Glasgow. You've won a home All-Ireland semi-final. So this team is getting experienced with every game. So the confidence must be surging through you right now.
Absolutely. And I think like that goes from like our keeper right up into our, like anyone who comes off the bench makes such an impact as well. And I think for us, we play defensive or whatever, but I think like even a turnover, if someone gets a turnover in the corner back line or the full forward line, that just drives us all on. And like that is, I think that's as good as any score. And I think that's what keeps us scoring as well. Like if someone is willing to die for their team and just work so hard, I think that just drives us all on. And if the person beside you is doing it, you're going to do it, and everyone's going to give 110%.
Lisa, obviously you can't wait to lead your team out in an All-Ireland club final, but I presume it's going to be that same mantra. It's just focus on the game, just put the occasion to one side. Like you have a football game to win, you have a job to do in the 17th.
100%, yeah. Like that, we'll take it all in our stride. And we've learned from big days that in the Munster final it was a tough battle. We were down a point at halftime, and we came out, and on the day, we made a lot of mistakes on the day, but it was the want and the determination that won it for us. And I think we all know that All Ireland final, it's a huge occasion, something that we could never ever get the chance to play in it for the rest of our lives. So, but it's just about keeping the focus and keeping the head, and we can enjoy all the celebrations after, and we'll try and enjoy the lead up to it as well around the town. But it's just about not letting the foot off the mark now and just keeping 100% focus.
You've all been a credit to the club, a credit to the town, a credit to West Cork. You're putting ladies football firmly on the map locally. I'm going to ask you all the very same question for the final one. Mariah Carey had a song years ago, "All I Want for Christmas Is." So I want you all to answer like one word or two words. All I want for Christmas is. Kate, you can go first.
All Ireland trophy.
A good answer. I was thinking it was going to go this way. Jessica?
3 cups in the Tanyard on Saturday the 17th.
That sounds good. And Lisa?
An All Ireland medal.
Oh, brilliant. No, fingers crossed, and the very best of luck. Like I said, you've been incredible so far, and it's just one game to go, one last push, and I'm confident you'll get there. So thanks very much for coming on the podcast, and the very best of luck.
Thanks a
million.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. Now, Kieran, Denis Hurley's latest book, Cork Football, Game of My Life, will be launched at 6 p.m. this Friday, December the 8th, in Bandon Books Plus. And we'll hear from Denis himself in a moment, but there's some great insights into Cork football in this book, and we got a copy right there, an advanced copy. There's some great insights into West Cork football as well.
Yeah, super book by Denis Hurley. Denis is well known around the county and even the country for his work in Cork GAA. He covers all the hurling for the Echo now, but he's one of the top men in the game. And this is his third book. He had Larry Tompkins' autobiography a couple of years ago. Last year he had the Cork hurling equivalent of the Game of My Life series, and now it's the Cork Cork's greatest footballers get the Denis Hurley treatment, and he's done it again. It's a smashing book. So the concept of the book is, and it's been rolled out all around the country by Hero Publishing. They talk to 25 of the greatest players in a county about the game of their life. So Denis has applied that to the Cork Football. What we have is a collection of some of the finest footballers ever to wear a Cork jersey, and they're talking about the greatest game of their life. But not only that, it's a chat about their careers as well. So just very quickly from a West Cork perspective, the likes of Paddy O'Sullivan out in Beara, Kieran O'Sullivan from Orhan, John Cleary from Castlehaven, Niall Cahalan is there, Larry Tompkins, Mark Collins, Graham Kenty, Micheál O'Sullivan from Carberry Rangers. So they're just some of the West Cork men, you could say, that are featured in the book. And it's Denis has done it again. Denis never ceases to surprise me. Like he's how that man gets through the amount of work that he does. It's maybe the ninth mystery of the world. But he's had a super job in this, and I was delighted to catch up with him to have a chat about the book and what it entails. And since I have a copy of the book here, I may as well give it away, Dylan. So
absolutely.
The first Star Sport podcast listener to email sport@southernstar.ie and just subject head game of my life and tell us that they want the book. It's that simple. Just tell us that they want this copy of the book. The first person to do it, we'll send that book out to them. So that's something that we look after. So email sport@southernstar.ie, subject head game of my life, and just tell us you want the book and give us your address, and the first person will pop it in the post to you.
Would you say, Kieran, that it is an ideal Christmas present?
I'd say it's the perfect Christmas present for the sports fan in your life, whether they're a Cork football fan or there's a sports fan in general. I love this time of the year, Dylan, because I get loads of sports books for Christmas. I don't know why. It just seems to be a very obvious gift to give a sports editor, give him loads of books. So I have a nice collection amassed, and this will certainly take its place. But I'm after giving away my copy now here on the podcast, so I'm going to have to pop along to the launch in Bandon Books Plus on Friday at 6:00 to pick up another copy and to get Denis to sign it, which will add to the value even more. So it's ideal. It's a great Christmas present for the sports fan in your life. But even for yourself, if you're feeling a little bit self-indulgent and you want to treat yourself, get this book, and it'll definitely help shorten these long winter nights.
We also have an extract from the book in this week's Southern Star, with Kieran O'Sullivan reliving part of his greatest game. You'll have to pick up a copy of the book or this week's paper to find out what game he chose. But let's hear from Denis now, who's been chatting to Kieran.
We're joined now on the podcast by a serial author, Denis Hurley. How this man gets time to write so many books, I never know. But your latest offering has hit the shelves, Denis. So welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks a lot for having me, Kieran. I suppose author is one of the less severe words to go after serial, so I won't complain too much.
Well, like this is your third book, and I'd say in 3 or 4 years, and you'd Larry Tompkins, and then you the Cork hurling game of my life. So now what we have is Cork Football, the game of my life. So tell us a small bit about this book.
It's basically the same pattern as the hurling one. Hero Books, the publishers, led by the former Meath footballer Liam Hayes, they've produced a number of them for counties all around the country, where a number of players basically talk about the match, the one match that's special to them, and then talk generally about their careers as well. We went with 25 for the hurling, and it's 25 again for the football, and it covers a time span from the mid-60s back to Paddy O'Sullivan from Oran, right up to Ian Maguire and the present day. So you're basically telling the modern story of Cork football in the words of the players.
A challenge must be just narrowing it down to picking the 25, because you've a huge number of players you could have picked.
Yeah, that's it. I suppose I'd be keen to stress that there's no one saying that these are definitively the best 25 players that have ever played for Cork. I suppose you just start off with the guys and you're familiar with, and I was lucky. Pretty much everyone I contacted was willing to do it and available to do it. So I'm very grateful to them for their time. I know my name's on the cover, but really there's 25 different authors of the book. And I think that, they all gave a very honest appraisal of their time with Cork and, how Cork did while they played, and I think the book is definitely all the better for that. Like even the guys who were successful with Cork, with Billy Morgan's team and with Conor Coonan's team, they had to endure the tough days before that, and I think that definitely gives it a kind of a gritty quality.
For a Cork GA fan like yourself, how much do you enjoy this? Because you're, like you said, you're telling the story of 25 different players over the last 60 years, but you're also taking yourself back to the special moments in Cork football history over those 60 years.
Sure, that's it. It is great. Like, I said that in the acknowledgements, basically, that like I was there as a 6-year-old in Hill 16 behind the goal in 1990 when Cork won the football to complete the double. And like, I'm still that same 6-year-old, but back then I used to have to ask my father all the questions, and he mightn't have always known the answers. He knew a lot of the answers, but no, I have a direct line to ask the players all these, inane queries that I've had, and like, that's the thing. We anyone who gets into GA journalism starts off as a GA fan, and like, obviously you're not jumping around the press box cheering or crying or anything like that, but at the end of it all, we are still supporters, and it is great like that, like you said, to relive it, talking to the players and getting their own insights and what was going through their minds when it was happening. So I'll never lose sight of how privileged I am, from that point of view.
I'm not going to ask you pick your favorite one of the 25 because that's a bit unfair, but which one did you almost enjoy the most? Was there any one story where you were like, Jesus, I never knew that about this fella, or anything kind of interesting that came out of it?
Well, there's I suppose a lot of the time it's the human stories, that kind of add the colour, like John Coleman now, who talked about the 1973 All-Ireland win. He started off, as he got a trial for the Cork Miners as a 16-year-old before the All-Ireland final, and he did well, but when they found out he was 16, it went against his chances. And like he was going to secondary school in Rockwell and Tipperary at the time, and he was told, the team will be in the paper in the Examiner on Wednesday morning. So he ran through the fields down to the village of New Inn to buy the paper and scanned it, and he saw the headline, 2 changes in the Cork minor team, and he got excited, but he didn't make the cut. He won All-Ireland minor medals the following 2 years at least, but he kind of trundled back to school feeling a bit sorry for himself, and then he got a few lashes for missing the first class of the day, so it just made a bad morning that bit worse for him. Or Paul McGrath from Bishopstown was playing. He was in UCC and he was playing the Sigerson team in his first year there, having never played minor or under 21 for Cork. And Mick O'Dwyer was training the team. And one day in training, Mick calls him over and he says, your mother is from Kinmare, isn't she? And Paul was like, yeah, she is. And you were born in Tralee yourself? I was, Mick. Oh, yeah. Would you ever think about coming training with us? And he's like, who's us now, Miko? And Miko was basically seeing if Paul was willing to throw his lot in with Kerry. The way Paul kind of rationalised it was that Cork were on the up and Kerry were on the way down, even though Kerry did go on to win another couple of All-Irelands under Miko. But, it's amazing to think like that Miko saw something in this guy who hadn't made the cut with the Cork underage teams. Almost inevitably then straight away, he gets in with the under-21s and wins a couple of All-Irelands there, and goes on to win a couple of senior medals, and then you've people like Niall Callahan just talking about the art of defending, and how, I asked him about playing on the edge, and he basically had a twinkle in his eye, and he said, you're at nothing if you weren't, and that was part of the challenge too. And he said, there was sometimes he kind of got in trouble for it, and there were plenty more times he didn't, so there's lots of nice little vignettes like that, I think. And then like guys talking about the games themselves, like in Coleman Corrigan breaking down how you man mark Owen Liston, that he knew the bomber was quick over the first 20 yards, so he had to make sure he didn't get a start in him, and then he knew that he'd be able to stand him up, and kind of limit his ability to shoot, but it was all in that first 20 yards, and like that he used to go for a walk the morning of a match and basically play the game out in his head. What a sports psychologist nowadays would call visualization, but it's not a new concept. It just has a new name. But there's lots of different things like that, and obviously you've the modern guys from Conor Coonan's team who had to endure a lot of heartache at the hands of Kerry and Croke Park before they finally made it. And those players and the players from '89 will say talk about relief. Relief was the overriding emotion, and then the '89 guys, they pretty much all of them said beating Mayo was grand, but they knew they had to beat Meath if they were to really just underline what a good team they were.
I'm just looking through the list here, Dennis. It's a real who's who of Cork football over the years, and even from a West Cork perspective, so many local men in it. Like you mentioned, Con Petty, O'Sullivan earlier. Looking at John Cleary there, you've Tony Davis, Larry Tompkins, Niall Cahalane, Kieran O'Sullivan out in Northern, Micheál O'Sullivan, the new Cork minor manager, Graham Canty, Mark Collins, and so on. But it's a book, like, it's going to appeal to everyone, not alone in West Cork in the county, but even GA fans across the country as well, because we're talking about some of the biggest names that have played the game.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's the hope. Anyway, I suppose it's easy to forget from outside of Cork just how big a part Cork have played, I suppose, because you're squeezed on the one side by Kerry football and squeezed on the other, we'll say, by Cork hurling. So it's often the forgotten child. But 7 All-Irelands isn't a bad return when you consider that. Obviously, the refrain, with any of the successful Cork teams, that they should have won more. But like Daniel Goulding says it in the book, like that he'd say they could have won more rather than should. And like when you think about it, they could have won less as well. Like we can't be taking the success for granted. Like every single All-Ireland that came to Cork was hard earned, and I think that shines through in the book. Like Tony Davis talks about Christmas Day 1988, and he just went down to Rossa Park doing laps and laps and laps before dinner. His father had to come down and tell him, come back up for dinner. Like, but he was just so driven to make sure that Cork were going to get that All-Ireland. They all had that absolute determination. And I suppose, the figure, like in the hurling book last year, Canon Michael O'Brien was kind of the figure, the overarching figure through it all. And obviously in the football one, that's Billy Morgan. Like there's 25 fellas in the book, and there's 2 of them that didn't either play with or play under Billy Morgan for Nemo, UCC or Cork. One of those is Patrick Kelly, who was just he was in UCC just before Billy took over, and obviously he came to Cork just after. And the other one is Billy Morgan himself.
Yes.
So it just shows what a dominant figure he is. And I was obviously so grateful that Billy took the time as well to contribute to the book. And the sweetest one for him was the 65 Munster final win down in Killarney. Cork's first one in more than a decade. And it just I suppose that helped get the ball rolling for what would lead to the 73 All-Ireland. And then obviously when Billy came back as manager, it was Cork's golden era. Like Niall Cahalane says, he has 7 Munster medals. Like I think Danny Cuddihy and John O'Driscoll are the only 2 other fellas to have that many, like over the course of a decade. And there's the National League and 2 All-Irelands as well. Could have been another All-Ireland or 2, but they don't come easy.
Like this book gives you almost a greater appreciation for Cork footballers. Like you said, they are kind of, you've Kerry football on one side, Cork hurling on the other side, and often the footballers are the squeeze middle, kind of in the shadow. In the shadow of the hurlers. But when you read what these men did, kind of, and to play for their county, the kind of sacrifices they made, but also when they were living their greatest days, like there's been a lot of highlights in there too, a lot of big moments of Cork football, and we almost forget that in the last decade because I suppose everyone's so quick to say, Jesus, Cork football has slipped and so on. But Jesus, these men have given us some highs over the years.
Yeah, and I suppose you kind of say 2 of the games featured, like Patrick Kelly picked the one against Tyrone in 2009, the semi-final, a great performance to knock out the All-Ireland champions. Mark Collins picked the Kerry game in 2020, the one that nobody was at when Mark Keane got the goal. Both of those are slightly tarnished by the fact that Cork lost to Kerry in the 2009 All-Ireland final, then lost to Tip in the 2020 Munster final. But I suppose at least you'd say that the Tyrone one did still lay a building block for the 2010 win. The Kerry one in 2020, it just kind of stands alone, as one victory over Kerry in a decade. And we're still waiting for a Munster title since then. Like it's part of the history, I suppose, of Cork, that there are highs and there are as many lows. But Conor Coonan put it best on the pitch in Croke Park at the final whistle in 2010. He said he hoped it would be inspiration for other counties, that they might realise that success is only fuel for, or failure is only fuel for success. So if you have that determination and character and skill, you'll hopefully get there in the end. And we pray that we're seeing that with the current team, a big leap forward made this year. Ian Maguire talks about the Mayo and Roscommon games in particular, and just how there's a real sense of something special building. These things take time, obviously. You're not going to get a team coming from nowhere anymore, like might have happened in the past. No, it's so professional and so high tech that you have to lay the building blocks, and hopefully Cork are on the right track that way.
And while the footballers take centre stage in this book, you're going to take centre stage on Friday evening. Tell us about the big book launch in Bandon.
Well, I don't know about centre stage, but I'm lucky Michael Foley of the Sunday Times has agreed to launch it, and it's taking place in Bandon Books Plus in Riverview Shopping Centre in Bandon. The owner there, Jerry Fitzgerald, he's a Kerry man from Fossa, just like yourself. But I think by this stage he's been assimilated. So it's nice. It's a great bookshop. They've always been very helpful to me, and I'm glad that it's taking place in West Cork. Just because Cork football is so associated with that, and hopefully it'll be a good night, and that people might Cork football fans might find the book in their Christmas stocking.
There's an open invite to everyone listening to this podcast to pop along on Friday evening.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd be delighted to meet everyone and anyone who wants to come along.
Brilliant. And final question. So, like I said, you're putting together some collection of books. What's next? Can you give us an exclusive here, Denis? What's next in your to-do or to-write list?
What's next is just to sit back and take a year off, I think, and then we'll see where we go from then. I would like at some stage to do something on the history of GA jerseys and the different colours worn by the various counties. But we'll see. That's been a passion project for a long time. But maybe somewhere down the line it might materialise.
I think you like you said, you deserve a break for a year. But congrats on your latest book, and the very best of luck with the launch on Friday night.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Kieran.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. And Kieran, now is the time of the week where we take our listeners through what's in this week's Southern Star Sport, and it's a great edition once again.
Yeah, when you're talking about what now, we're moving towards not mid-December, still I suppose the start of December. It's so busy in local sport right now, and that's a great way to have it. So obviously we have coverage of O'Donovan Rossa's All-Ireland semi-final win. We have a 2-page preview of Castlehaven's Munster's final against Dingle. Talked to James McCarthy. I chatted to Larry Tompkins about the 1997 Munster final. I have an analysis piece on Michael Hurley's form of late that shows he's on the cusp of his best scoring championship season to date. But we also have the news from the Dingle camp as well. Also, the Under-21 Carbery Championships are progressing at pace. Well, some of them are. With the Under-21B final the weekend, where Bantry Blues got the better of Bandon for their first title win in 10 years. So full page report on that. St. Columns won the Under-21C final. And then the Under-21A semi-final was Ivan Gales against Carbery Rangers last Sunday in Ballineen. And if anyone is following me on social media the last few days, they'll notice what's going on there. There's been a bit of a fallout, to put it mildly, Dylan. There was some confusion over the full-time score at the end of 60 minutes. Carbery Rangers thought they'd won the game 9 points to 8. The referee said it was a draw, 9 points apiece. The game went to extra time, and Ivan Gales kicked on to win by 2 points there. It seems the confusion arises from the first half when our star reporter headed Carbery Rangers leading 4 points to 3. the Twitter accounts of Carby Rangers and Barry Rowe both had Carby Rangers leading by 4-3, but the referee had it 4 points apiece at half time. So that's where the confusion has arisen. And the fact that the game was on in the second pitch in Ballineen and there was no scoreboard there either certainly doesn't help. So that's led to this confusion where Carby Rangers put in an appeal to the Carby CCC on Tuesday night. That appeal was rejected, so now we're waiting to see what's going to happen. So as it stands, Ivan Gales are through to the Carby Under-21 final, and they play either Newcestown or Castlehaven on Sunday week. So we just have to see what happens there. So we've all that news in Thursday Southern Star, and we've loads more beside it. We've 2.5 pages of West Cork League soccer, and just to stress, the Southern Star is now the only place where you can read about the goings on of soccer locally. So we've 2 match reports. We've Artfield beating Alta Celtic B in the championship, and also Castletown beating Kilgobbin on Monday night in the championship, as well as a West Cork League review, as well as our usual schoolboys, schoolgirls soccer page. So plenty there for soccer fans to look forward to. We also chat to Fiona Everard, our national cross-country champion, who'll be competing in the European cross-countries in Brussels this Sunday. I have an interview with Emma Hurley, the young soccer player and road bowler from Drina, who picked up a Paddy Palmer Youth Sports Star Award lately. And we've so much more in there as well. It really is a packed sports section, so well worth checking out on Thursday.
Yeah, packed as always. And inside sport, there's also a free 16-page motoring supplement with lots of winter motoring tips and also the latest on what's new in motoring for 2024. So that's a good one to pick up as well. All that will be available in shops across West Cork from Thursday morning. And as always, if you're further afield or you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get it on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week, alongside full access to our website as well. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.